Hey beauties, morning to you. You know, I had to meditate on Proverbs chapter 6, verses 16 to 19, where it says, 6 things God hates, 7 he detests. So something said, let me look at the root meaning of the word detest. Detest in its original actually means to abhor. And I had to go and look what abhor means. And it means something that one finds horrific and it is repugnant to them. So it's like a stench, a terrible stench to that person's nostrils. And when I said to myself, so that is how God views, there are 6 things he hates. And it went on to say 7 he detests. So he took it almost from a level 1 to a level 5. That is how horrible and terrible he views these 7 things. Haughty eyes, people who look at people thinking that they're actually better. They're made better than other people and thinking that they are really better and operate in such manner. Remember, it says God doesn't walk with the proud and the scornful. A lying tongue, lying lips are an abomination unto the Lord. Satan is the father of lies, and in him there are lies. So you understand how much lies. That thing have sent many innocent blood to the grave. Hands that shed innocent blood. That's a third one. Hands that shed innocent blood. A heart that devises wicked schemes. So when you sit and you plot to do things to people, get rid of them, not necessarily physically, but to create slander or gossip. Remember, slander is speaking truth with evil intent. The original meaning of the word slander is devilish. Slander in its original means devilish. It says feet that are quick to rush into evil. So you're quick to do something wicked. Not just the mercenaries. People are paid like contract killers. But people who rush to people's places of abode to go and tell them lies about people. You go to other people because you know that you want to do something evil against other. A false witness who pours out lies. A false witness. We see this permeated on the internet so many times. And it says a man or woman, it really means, who stirs up dissension, meaning you cause others. You aid in causing others to hate others among your brothers and sisters. So a man or woman who stirs up dissension among brothers and sisters. Now, if God considers these things abhorrent and it is repugnant to him, it is a stench to him, you better believe this, that you are going to pay for what you do if you're caught among these 7 things. Isn't it ironic that none of the sexual sins that we mention, not to say that they're right, don't get me wrong, like when we talk about fornication and adultery, and by the way, fornication is not just having sex out of marriage and that's how people have it. It is to have a rebellious attitude towards God. If you go and check the whole history of what fornication means, people only take it for having sex outside of marriage. And I'm not talking about that we should. Because one of the things that fornication does is that when you do it, you end up reaping a lot of negative memories of what took place, if you're a woman, of the number of men that you have slept with. And as you get older, it starts to replay in your mind and you have a lot of regrets. Sometimes it ends up creating some physical defect or problem to your own bodies. So it is not, I want you to understand the ramifications in some sense where fornication, in the way that we understand fornication to mean, that can cause to a woman, if she has a plethora of partners, a multiplicity of partners, sexual male partners, and vice versa, men who have a lot of male, well, I mean, that happens, but I'm really talking about in a heterosexual sense. That's what I really try to deal with, who they have a lot of female partners, and sometimes you find that these men, they look very old for their age. As they reach a certain age, their performance machine tool cannot perform. By the time they hit 50, they're worn out. Sometimes, unfortunately, they develop a lot of illnesses. They become very depressed. They become very despondent and so on. So it creates a lot of damages, and their lifespan is very short. When you find people having a multiplicity of partners, it ends up making your lifespan very short because the stress that comes with it. Sometimes you get the people, for the men, you get the women impregnated, and they start to pressure you. Your money is depleted because you have to give to every child, and so many different, and you start to age and look bad, and look really, really awful. But let me not stray. 6 things God I'm going to use all the adjectives. 6 things God detests, he hates, he loathes, Loathe with the apostrophe S, that he finds repugnant, that he abhors, that he finds horrific, terrible. And you will pay for creating damage in the people's lives. It is just so ironic that out of the 7 things, not one of them really mentions about the sexual sins that we have been hearing a lot. There must be a point to it, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that people are to go out and it's a free-for-all for you to go and fornicate or commit adultery. I could never say something like that, because we also know the ramifications of these things, that ultimately it destroys family lives, sometimes to the point of death. So I could never be saying that, and I'm not saying that it is not wrong and it is not something that God doesn't like. What I'm simply saying to you, that God has seen over the many years that these 7 things, these 7 deadly sins have created mayhem in the highest form in the lives of many people, innocent people for the most part. I remember, and I find that we're living in a day and age now where, for example, people just take pleasure in videotaping people just randomly. When you see them do something that may seem different or seem something that can create some embarrassment and humiliation to them. There was a man, and he was taking a bus and he was eating ice cream, but he was eating it, fairly normal in my eye. But because he was licking the ice cream, people say, what kind of our behavior is this? Like when you see the comments and people laughing. And I'm saying, imagine the man is standing in the bus. Maybe he just felt like eating an ice cream. Sometimes your body just feels for something. He doesn't drive. He's not mobile. He took the thing. He has to, you expect him to just grovel and behave really bad and unseeming, eating the ice cream that would mess him up and mess up the place and mess up his hands and people. And he wants to enjoy it. He wants to savor the taste of the ice cream. So naturally he has to lick it until it finishes. And, they posted it publicly on something and having people creating some negative connotation behind it. There was another one with a woman in the airport. Mind you, she was not appropriately dressed. She had on this orange sort of, when you have the romper but are very short, very, very short. So part of her buttocks was actually showing, Yes, it's inappropriate, but it's not our airport. If they have not sent her home and say, you can't dress like this, it's none of our business. The boss had said, boy, this lady not easy at all. This is not. Why is it that we feel that we should publicize and embarrass the woman? That is what we call slander. And that is why we'll forever talk about the whole thing with the Annie situation and Nadine, right? I'm saying to people that I have no problem. I'm not supporting the behavior, the actions of Alice, because it's something that is unsanitary and can create health hazard to people. And it's nasty and disgusting. However, there are protocols that we could have followed. I'm not supporting the public humiliation. It went worldwide. It can damage a woman's life if, forever. Forever. And she has that chance to become a better human being. She has that chance to improve. And when you do something like that, that is all people are going to remember and see. I am not supporting slander. So slander is when it says you speak truth with evil intent. So that was a slanderous behavior. So because it has to do with actions. Go to the right authorities. They could have, once you send them that and show them the video, do follow the protocols. You go to her, speak to her firmly and say what you're doing is wrong, nasty. Make sure you're not a part of that. And if she doesn't listen, say to her, if you continue, I have to go to the authorities because you cannot be doing this. It's unsanitary, it's unsightly, it is nasty. It can create health hazard to people also. You warn her. So when you go to the authorities, you would have done due diligence. But to publicly send that, can you imagine? And not many of you will not understand because it is not something that would affect you or something you would do. You're okay with what took place because they say at least you get to know. Let me tell you something. We don't know what some of the others have done over the years. So you don't know the amount of feces you probably eat and don't even know. Sounds bad, but it's a reality. And you're still here. You're not dead yet. And I'm not lauding Alice's behavior, but I am hitting against the way how, what's her name, had dealt with it. Go to the proper authorities, the channels. For example, if somebody breaks into your house, and you can manhandle it or deal with it, you call the proper authorities, the police. Because you might end up doing something that gets you imprisoned. 7 things God abhors, he finds repugnant. He detests, he hates, he loathes. Go and read it, Proverbs 16 to 19. You don't want his wrath to come on you. Guys, follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share this message, please.